Hello everybody, I'm Richard Gon of Work to Live podcast version, and this time you can also enjoy the noise or the sound of this country. So in not in my residence. Anyway, some I think some noises or some sounds of the outside may come into this place. So which is why please enjoy this please enjoy this podcast, and along with the noises and the sounds of the outside of this country. So this time, so anyway, so I frequently digress when I'm talking about stuff, or when I'm creating each episode of this podcast. So which is why, so I'm so which is why in each episode I pause, or I tell the listeners, or tell the listeners that the title and the conclusion of each episode. So this time I'm going to tell you the conclusion and the title of this episode. The title is "White Supremacy Helps China," and I added, or I wrote a Chinese part of this title, and the Chinese part reads,白人优越主义帮助中国. So I'm going to tell you again. I'm going to tell you the Chinese part of the title again. So the Chinese part is 白人优越主义帮助中国. So the translation is the title, which means, so it's fine to understand it literally if you understand the Chinese language or mainland Chinese language. So the Chinese language I have learned is a Chinese language was that of mainland China, was the version of mainland China. So there are many versions of Chinese language, and to start with, so there's a dialect which is called, or which is named Cantonese. And so I don't know whether Cantonese is a distinct language from mainland Chinese, but actually, or Mandarin, but actually, so thinking about the fact that so there are many thinking about that there are many linguistic ramifications, or there are many linguistic branches in Chinese language. So it might be. So anyway, maybe I should tell you that the version, or the branch of Chinese language I'm using is a Mandarin, or Putonghua in Chinese language. So anyway, so I almost forgot to tell you the conclusion of this episode. So the conclusion of this episode is white supremacy divides the United States, which is how China can get the position as the victor of the world. So anyway, so so many problems exist in the United States of America. So the United States of America, or that country has many problems, and so to start with, that country, people say people say many. So which people, if you ask me, which people said such a thing, well, like which people has such kind of idea? If you ask me such a question, so the answer is maybe the people, at least maybe the people apart from, or other than the people in the United States of America. So I'm a, so if you are frequent listener, or if you are frequent listeners of my podcast, so you can you have already known that my nationality is Japanese. And anyway, so I'm a Japanese person living in Japan. And so what else should I say about myself? So anyway, my mother tongue is Japanese language, which is why this language, this language you are listening to now is non-native version of English language. So which means, so I can't speak English natively. So if you are thinking of using this podcast as a source of learning English language, this is let me tell you that this is the last choice for learning English language. So if you'd like to study English language, please use other sources for studying English language. Anyway, so this is not an English lecture. This is not a lecture of English language. So white supremacy, which is what I was talking about, and white supremacy separates, or white supremacy splits the United States of America, which is quite a hot topic anyway. So I don't know whether which words to use for describing the situation of the United States of America, or the politics of the United States of America. Which is because you can hear the sound of a siren. I don't know which vehicle or which machine has that sound of siren, but actually maybe this is the siren of ambulance, which is my speculation. And if this was wrong, so if this was wrong, so I'm sorry, but I don't feel sorry about that mistake. Anyway, so coming back to the track of this episode. So the separation of the United States society. So I don't know which term to use, but actually if I use the division, which can be division. The word division might be ambiguous, which is because I'm an office worker, but actually many companies have many departments, and each huge company has many departments, which are sometimes called divisions. So which is why so divisions may mean some groups of a division may indicate or may mean, or a division may mean a group of people in your company or in your organization. So thinking about which split or separation can be a better word for explaining that the situation of the United States of America was the problem of the United States of America. Anyway, so one of the causes of such separation is white supremacy, or like the idea that white people should be cared about more by the government of the United States of America, stuff like that. Anyway, so white supremacy can be there is a, so I'm recording this episode in on May not on May, in the beginning of June. I'm recording this episode in 2022. So maybe it was the last month. It was the last month on which there was a gun shooting case. So there was a massacre in maybe in the state of New York in the United States of America, and in which many black people were, or 10 or more black people were killed, or 10 black people were killed by a white perpetrator, or by a white murderer, by gunshot, or by many gunshots actually. So, and the motive of that white criminal was said to be white supremacy idea, was this idea related to the motive was related to the idea of white supremacy. Anyway, so of course so maybe that country has problems, like white people are not so well off in that country, because many colored people are protected by the policies of the United States of America. So which is why white people are not so protected. White men are not so protected, which is one of the huge problems of the United States of America, which is what I have heard before. So, but which may lead, or which may create, or which may so instigate, or which may produce a huge deep separation, or deep split in the society, in US society. So but actually, which is, so I began to no, not I began I talked about the rise of China anyway. So maybe you understand. So not coming back to you, changing the topic of this episode from the separation of the United States society to the rise of or to the victory of China or mainland China actually. I think most of you have the understanding of this world that so there are two main groups on this world. One group is Western group, and the strongest or the most powerful country is the United States of America, and the other party is China, stuff like that. So the counterpart of the United States of America is China, and Russia is one of the groups of that Chinese group, stuff like that. So before the rise of China, before this previous time, so there was a country named Soviet Union, which was the strongest group in the communist group of communist countries. So anyway, but actually, after the dissolution of Soviet Union and after the and China began to, but mainland China began to prosper or flourish. Mainland China began to flourish from years before, and anyway, which is how mainland China exceeded Russian Federation, which is why China is maybe China. I think it's possible to say that China is the second largest country all over the world. Anyway, so but actually when it comes to when a conflict, for example, where maybe the easiest image is that the easiest image for you is a military conflict between mainland China and the United States of America. Such a thing, which is such kind of conflict is a hypothetical situation. But actually, if such a thing occurs, so if such a thing occurs, and if the separation in the society of the United States was deep enough so that for example so that the proper function of the United States society can be marred, for example. And anyway, if you can't understand what I said, anyway, so the deep separation in United States society may prevent the United States from functioning decently. Which is what I'm telling you. So which can be such a separation of the United States, the society of the United States of America may work in favor of mainland China, which is what I'm saying. I'm sorry for the sound of the buzzer, but actually so if such a separation grows deeper and deeper, such a malfunction or such a dysfunction of US society may happen, which is what I'm telling you. So, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So, I'm going to, this time, so I'm going to end this episode. So, before actually ending this episode, I'm going to tell you the conclusion title of this episode. The title is White Supremacy Helps China, and the Chinese part of this title is 白人优越主义帮助中国. And the conclusion of this episode is white supremacy divides the United States, which is how China can get the position as the victor of the world. So finally, before actually ending this episode, let me tell you why I recently create some episodes related to white supremacy. That is because I think if you have listened to this episode until the end, so you have already understood that I'm a foreigner, and I'm speaking English language. I'm speaking English language non-natively. Well, I'm not speaking English natively, but actually, so which means I'm a Kannada people and I'm an East Asian. So which is why, so I'm really concerned. I'm deeply concerned about the problems related to white supremacy, which is why I recently create episodes of podcast related to white supremacy. So that's it. So the title and the conclusion the title and the conclusion have already been spoken about before this part. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening. See you. And there was a mistake in the pronunciation of Chinese language. So I said Biden优越主义, but actually the correct pronunciation of优越is 优越, not 优越. So I mistakenly pronounced 优越, but actually the correct pronunciation of 优越is 优越. Please remember this one.